Hi, welcome to Breakfast at Tiffany's. It is Friday, October 24th. I always have to think about that for a minute. Even though I look at the calendar right before I get on here, I still almost lose it when I start doing this. Anyway, I forgot to mention in last week's episode that last week's episode was the 200th episode of Breakfast at Tiffany's. So this is 201. And, it's been several years now. Because it's 52 weeks in a year? So, a couple of years now we've been doing this. So I guess next week, if we do the 202nd, no, that's not great. 204 would be 4 years. Right? I've missed a couple weeks here and there, though, so that might not count. Anyway, I gotta stop with the anyways. So, past weekend, Sunday, Andrew and I cleaned out a closet. And it was a closet that was in our guest room it was a huge closet. So it just had bins and bins of stuff thrown in there. And we cleaned it out, and Andrew decided, and of course we did the, keep, donate, sell stuff, so, and trash. Keep, donate, sell, and trash. So we have a little bit of each, but I wanted to show you some of the stuff we decided we're going to sell, and eventually these will get listed on eBay if nobody's interested in them right now, but I'll show you a few things. It's kind of just random little things, but we have an old Chronicles of Narnia book set. So I had this exact same set when I was growing up. I don't know what happened to it. Let's see what year it says in here. That can't be right. Well, the whole series was copyright 1950. This says First Collier Books Edition 1970. That kind of makes more sense. This is probably a 70s edition set. But I had this exact same box set. I just don't know what happened to it. I already said that, didn't I? We have a Great Moments in American History jigsaw puzzle in a can. I don't even know if all the pieces are in there. Oh, I guess this particular one is for the Humble Oil and Refining Company. No. Columbus refuses a plea to turn back in 1492. That's what it is. 300 pieces, it's supposed to be. So I guess I have to count those. Maybe try to put the puzzle together to see if they're all there. I'm not a great puzzle putter togetherer. Oops. We have a little kid's microscope. Can't tell you, it doesn't seem to have any specific brand. It's plastic, not metal, so I don't know how good that is. This is the strangest thing. Andrew said these were sitting on a bookshelf in his room while he was growing up. But I don't know why. They're salt and pepper shakers. And they look like this. I don't know how much to say about that. I don't know. This is kind of fun. This is a Sears Porsche radio controlled car with the antennas and everything. And I don't know if it works or not, but I looked at it, and it needs a 9-volt battery. I guess we'll have to put a battery in there and see if it works. But these these little things are dangerous. I can't imagine kids having those now. This one's sharp in the end. But anyway, they're dirty, and I gotta see if they work. And then we just got a bunch of random little stuff. These are kind of cute. I hate to open this because it was so hard to unopen or to close back up again. But this is a little, it looks like Andrew might have markered or painted on there. I'm not sure. But it's Guatemalan. And you open it up and it's got a bunch of those little worry dolls. I think they're called worry dolls or whatever they're called. But there's a bunch of them in here. Bunch of them in this tiny little thing, and I'm never going to get that back in there with all the lid on. So they might just sit here for a while. I can just see one of my cats coming by and picking this up and carrying it off. We have a little miniature sundial. I've got a little brain fog. I'm having some trouble thinking of word names of things. This is a Creative Playthings toy, and it's got just like the music box thing. I guess this is the Pennsylvania Railroad sign. This looks like a, I don't know, crab net or lobster trap. I don't know what those are. Ornaments. There's some bags of random stuff. Looks like a hand-carved camel with a chain on one side. And this looks like it's maybe a llama. I don't think it looks cute enough to be an alpaca. I think it's a llama. We have a little Matchbox car or truck that's got Rice Krispie treats on it. This just says Team Matchbox. There's a whole box of cars, Matchbox and Hot Wheel cars, down in a bin to be listed that's been down there for years. We just have to sort them all out. This looks like random train cars and some other stuff. We got some random Legos, more Legos. And here we have, I noticed there was some Sesame Street finger puppets. I think that's all there was. There's a rock. Obviously not all of this was listed, but there's random like cowboys and Indians in here. I'm trying to get out these things. Sometimes the things we think are worth nothing, we look it up and they're worth something. This is like Donald Duck and Daisy, and I don't know if that's their little kid or whatever. Did they have a kid, or was it just Huey, Dewey, and Louie? Anyway, we have those. Oh, and here's some more of the wooden animals. We have a donkey, like with some drums or barrel. No, they're buckets. They're open. And he's also only has the chain on one side. We have a rhinoceros. And then we have a turtle whose foot, one of his feet came off. So that's it. Just some random stuff. There's a little bit more downstairs. There's a very ancient looking train set, metal trains. A huge bag, like a big burlap sack full of Lego pieces, vintage Lego pieces. What else? Some stuffed animals that I pulled out of a bin. They were Tyler's when he was a kid, and I had saved them. But I think I just saved them because I liked them, because they weren't necessarily Tyler's favorite. There was one in there that was Tyler's favorite that I kept, but the other three I don't really need to keep. But they're Beanie Buddies, so they're the bigger version of Beanie Babies. So I might list those eventually. So whenever we finish all the other consignments we have to do, we'll get around to listing our own stuff. So that's all I really have for you today. I don't have a lot going on. I'm hoping. I haven't really been out in the garden as much as I need to. I'm so stressed about all the things I want to get done in the garden before the first snow. And before it gets too cold. But every day when I wake up, and I usually like to go out in the morning, it's way too cold in the morning now. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go out there. And then I think, well, I'm going to go out in the evening. But then evening is like 5. It starts getting dark so soon that by the time I think about going outside, like I finish my work and I want to go outside, it's already getting too dark. So it's a problem. I have to pull out all my zinnias because they're mostly brown now. And you have to pull them, out of the ground. And I've been cutting off all the heads and saving them because I read that you can just drop the heads in the dirt and they will, you don't even have to pull the petal. At the end of the petal is a seed, but you don't even have to pull it apart. You can just plant the heads just as they are in the spring and it will grow. So we're going to try that. So we've been saving almost every zinnia head since I read that. So we have a big box of zinnia heads. So it should be a huge amount of zinnias if they actually work. But anyway, so I'm pulling out the zinnias, and then Wednesday after I got home from work, I sat up on the front porch and I started just cutting off heads. Like I'd pull out a few things, sit on the porch and cut, and then I'd go back and pull a few more and then sit on the porch and cut them up. But there's still a lot left to do. And I really thought that I wasn't going to have any more good zinnias like that I could put in a vase, but I actually was able to fill a couple vases of decent flowers. When I pulled the stalks out and I was cutting them, I was like, oh, well, this looks good still. So I put it in a vase for a while so I can enjoy it for a little bit more inside. So that's my problem. And, well, I have lots of problems, but lots of things going on in my head because I leave for Europe in 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks from today. And I'm going to be gone basically half of November. It's like 11 days, 10 or 11 days, but it's basically half of November, as almost just about half of November. So I keep thinking about all the things I need to get done before I leave, and then all the things I'm going to have to do when I get back, and it's kind of stressing me out. And Andrew wanted to help me last night, so he said, come with me, and he went to the whiteboard in the kitchen. He said, tell me every single garden task that is in your head right now that you want to finish before the snow. And so we wrote them all down, and then, I just spewed out a bunch, and he wrote them on the board, and I said, okay, that's it. And then I'm like, no, wait, there's this, and there's this, and I added like more things. I said, okay, that's it. I'm like, no, now there's this. The list kept getting really longer. And that's not even like my dream list. That's just stuff that I really think needs to be done before it snows. Or it would really make me happy. Obviously, I want to do more, but it kind of did help to get it out on the board, because he said he's going to help me tackle all these things now, so that's good. And when I went to sleep last night, this was right before bed, and when I went to sleep last night, I didn't sit there with the list going through my head because I had put it out on the board. So I was thinking maybe of doing that with every subject or every topic, like everything I need to get done for the store before I leave. and everything I need to get done at the house in the house before I leave. You know, things like that. It might make me feel better if it's just out on a list instead of running around in my head at night when I'm trying to get to sleep. Anyway, we'll see. So that's all I have for today. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope I make it productive. I hope other people get to rest more than I will be resting, but have a good weekend. Bye.